Hi guys. Oh my God. I am so excited to get started with my first ever podcast episode. I have been planning a podcast for what feels like years, and it's just one of those things that I've kept putting off and never got around to it. It's always just been on the list of things to do. So to actually be sitting down and recording my very first episode now feels a little bit surreal. I'm excited, a little bit nervous because I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? Like I talk to people all the time. Like I host masterclasses, I do in-person events, like all of this stuff. I'm always helping people. But to be sat in a room talking to a microphone, hoping that people are going to be listening to it at the other end feels really bizarre. But anyway, I'm so excited to be here. So, welcome to Becoming a Powerhouse Brand, my own podcast. Really excited to get started. And I thought, with this being the first episode, it just feels right that there should be more of kind of an introduction into who the heck I am, and why you should listen to me. So, for those of you that are listening that are new to my world, my name is Jackie Laws, and I am the founder of brand agency Bailey and Rue. Most people know me as Bailey and Rue, and in fact, I've been called Bailey so many times in my business, you would not believe it. So, I am a serial entrepreneur. I have had multiple businesses and have multiple businesses now. Always been very creative. What I am right now is a brand strategist, mentor, designer, and I'm also an author. Obviously, now I'm a podcast recorder. I am a mentor for women to help them to really scale their business and build a personal brand. And with the design element, I create full rebrand makeovers for those that are at a point in their business where they just feel like their current branding is out of alignment with where they see the future of them going, their evolution of their business. And they just really want to have that magnetic, amazing brand identity and website and all of the graphics that go with it. So I help those kind of clients to basically redefine themselves and create that whole new identity that's going to make them really magnetic and help them take that next level up. The thing I love about the mentoring is it means I get to support women at all different stages of their business, right from the very first year of business to when they're maybe even 10 plus years into their business, just to help them to take a step back and work on their actual brand, their strategy, becoming magnetic for their dream clients, working out who that dream client is, because that dream client is going to change as your business grows and evolves because we all change as individuals. My business has changed completely from when I first started. So that's why I kind of wanted to touch on this episode on my journey, really. So you can get to know what I'm all about and basically the experiences that I've had that allow me to empower other women to build a successful business for themselves. So I have always been very creative. I was the one in my family that would be sat at the dining room table doing art, like drawing, coloring, painting, whatever it was. I loved all of the creative subjects the whole way through school. I definitely took after my dad in terms of the creative side. My mum's not creative at all. Um, and that just kind of stuck with me. And I remember going right the way through high school and sitting down when you get to the point where you have to fill in all of the forms for university and everything to apply. And that was kind of the standard process then. Like everybody filled this in. And I remember the whole way through school, that just never appealed to me. I always knew that I would do my A levels. Like I always loved the creative subjects. And actually for my GCSEs and then onto my A levels, I chose really creative subjects. So for my A levels, I did art, photography, and fashion textiles. Like I just loved those kinds of subjects. Any of the academic subjects I really struggled with. I really struggled to retain the kind of information, like sitting in exam rooms doing a maths paper was like my idea of a nightmare. Like I just really struggled with that. Whereas to sit for 4 hours doing an art exam, I absolutely loved it. Like that is where I came alive, doing all the creative elements. Um, and I just remember this point in school when everyone was sitting down filling in their applications for university, and I would be saying to my teachers, but I'm not going to university. Like it's never been on the radar for me just because I didn't want to. Always been really independent. Being the eldest child, I always sort of mothered my younger brothers. And I just really wanted to be able to leave school and just get a job. I was already working part-time at the time. I started work from the age of, I think I was 15. I worked only part-time in like a kennels, but I just loved the fact that I was able to earn money, my own pocket money, so that when I went and bought stuff at the weekend for myself, it was my money. I wasn't having to ask for pocket money or ask anybody to give me any money. Like, I loved that financial independence. And still to this day, like, that is just me down to a T. So filling in these application forms, and I just said to my teachers, I'm not going to university. It's just not for me. It doesn't like feel like something that I need to be doing in my life to be able to do the jobs that I want to do. I knew I wanted to get into the creative industry. I didn't know what exactly, but I knew I was really interested in like the media. I loved the idea of working on film sets, photography production, all of that kind of thing. I was really into that. And I remember as clear as anything, and I use it in my messaging quite a lot, even now. I remember a teacher saying to me, but you won't get a job in the creative industry unless you go to university. And those words stuck with me. And anyone that knows me will know if you tell me I can't do something, it's going to make me so determined to prove you wrong. Like, I will do everything I can in my power to be able to prove people wrong if they tell me I can't do something. So those words that that teacher gave me meant I literally did not even fill in the forms. It wasn't even a case of they were telling me, oh, just fill them in because then it's done. It's part of this whole like session that we're doing in school. I didn't fill it in. I refused to do it. I was like, I'm not going to uni and I'm going to get a creative job. And I even said to the teacher, watch me, I'm going to get a creative job. So anyway, I left school. I was working at a leading retailer at the time, just as an assistant. And then when I left school, because of my creative interest, I actually got a job as a visual merchandiser for the same business. Worked my way up the ladder, got different jobs, got my dream job the year later in a photography studio working as a production manager for all the shoots. So I had the incredible job of being the main point of contact to all of the clients, and it was an advertising company. So it was working with big brands like retail brands, independent brands, all across the country and even external countries as well, organizing the shoots. So I would be booking models, booking freelancers, assisting on the sets. I would be helping with set build, styling, like just it was such an amazing job and an amazing opportunity. And I just absolutely loved it. It really was the dream job for me. The only downside was there wasn't like a ladder that I could scale. I couldn't, there was no promotion available for me. So the position I was at was the top position I would get in that business. And that was literally the only reason why I then went on to other jobs, because I really did love working there. But having that job opened up an opportunity to work for other companies that allowed me to really grow and expand my creative skills. So obviously going from the photography production and being really organized with organizing all of the shoots, everything that had to go on, like you would not believe how much work goes into planning a big shoot. Like some of these shoots might be a month long or longer. So you would have to plan every single day's shot list for each of the photographers in the studio, what they'd be shooting, make sure everything was lined up, ready to go. Anything that needed ironing or building or whatever, everything had to be done. You'd had to book the models in and make sure you had enough time spaced out between each one so there wasn't too much overlap, or if a model was late, like there was just so much planning involved in that. But I love that kind of thing. I like having that higher pressure. I don't like a job where you're kind of twiddling your thumbs trying to find something else to do. Like even now as an entrepreneur, my whole thing is about freedom. I love to have the time and financial freedom to be able to go and do the things that I love, but I'm a busy person. Like I can't just sit and watch TV like during the day. Like I love to keep myself busy. So whether it's thinking of, oh, well, we need to redesign like one of the kids' bedrooms, or do something else, like let's plan a holiday, let's plan something we're going to do in the garden. Like I'm just always thinking and always busy. Like I'm a busy person. I love that. That's just me. um so went on to all these other roles in graphic design, content creation, working in design studios, managing a team of graphic, web and video designers. Like I had all of these different skills that allowed me to learn from experts in their field, working with brand teams, marketing teams, content creation, designers, and working with global brands. It was just one of those things, like my entire career has led me to where I am now. Every single job I've had has allowed me to support my clients and my audience with my trainings. And obviously now my podcast, I'm going to be able to support those that are listening with really scaling their business and building that strong magnetic personal brand purely through all of my experience that I've had and all the knowledge that I have inside my head, which was my main reason for wanting to start a podcast. So my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 17. I started my own business as a wedding photographer. Didn't know anybody else in the wedding industry at the time. It was kind of something I fell into, and I was very much doing it on the side. And actually, I remember for some reason hiding it from my work. Like, I felt guilty that I was working in a full-time job and also doing this stuff on the side. So I didn't really shout about it, but I loved doing it. Like, it was definitely a passion of mine. And that business was very much ad hoc. Like, I don't think I did more than 4 weddings a year for the first few years, but it kind of went on, and my business evolved. Like, I did all my own branding and my website and everything. I certainly didn't really grow it or put a lot of effort into it. It kind of was just ticking over. All of my bookings were through recommendation or people finding me on Facebook. I didn't do anything there. I don't even know if there was Instagram at the time. I don't think there was when I first started. So it was like Facebook and yeah, the referrals that were coming through. So that was how I first started my own business. And the reason I got into being just an entrepreneur with no other income was when I was on maternity leave after having my first child. So she was born in 2015 and I set up my business in 2016. Um, I did intend to go back to my job, but it just wasn't an option because it was pretty much you either come back full time or not at all. And obviously, I'm not going to choose my job. Well, I personally wasn't going to choose my job over my child. So I was basically forced out of a job that I really loved. And it meant that I had no choice but to carry on doing like the wedding photography here and there if I wanted to. But it just wasn't enough. I found because I hadn't pushed that business at all, like the inquiries just weren't there. I was a full-time mum at this point, and I absolutely love being a mum, but I need more. Like, I am a busy person. I need things going on all the time. And to have that independence of being able to earn my own money, like I didn't like having to rely on my husband all the time to support us. I wanted to be able to contribute and make my own money so I wasn't having to ask other people for money to go and buy stuff or go for a coffee or whatever. So I set up my own business. Whilst I was on maternity leave, I designed some wedding stationery for a couple of friends and absolutely loved it. So I thought, well, why not start a stationery business? So I set up my own wedding stationery business, which I don't think I put any thought into the name, but I thought of a name, got a logo, built my website, started pushing out my services. I did not look into the print costs at all. All of my pricing on my website was based on what I thought people would pay. So that was kind of where my business was. Obviously, that then meant that my prices were way too low. I had no concept of like charging for my time, charging for the costs of the business. It was purely down to, well, what are people going to pay for a single invitation? Like, and I'd worked it out based on that. So it meant I attracted brides that had very low budgets for their wedding stationery, that wanted everything, like they wanted the whole world. Um, and it meant that I took on so many orders that obviously trying to do that around a baby, it meant that a lot of the time wasn't even starting my working day until she'd gone to bed. So sometimes I'd be starting my working day at like 9 o'clock because she wasn't a great sleeper, and be working until like 3 o'clock in the morning with the odd wake up in the night with her. So I was just at burnout very, very quickly in my business. And it got to a few months into my business, and I was like, this is just not going to work. Like, this has gone from me wanting to do this for some independence and that financial freedom. And all it's done is cause burnout, like have way too much on. I'm not making money because I was actually spending more on the prints than what I was making. And the whole thing was just a shambles, basically. Um, so I joined a networking group for the wedding industry, actually, and it was when I really focused on, right, what do I actually want from this business? I want to build a brand. I wanted to be recognized. I didn't want to play small. I didn't want to be attracting these kind of low budget clients. I knew I was amazing at what I did. Like all of my expertise, my skill, my knowledge of print, my knowledge of design, like all of this kind of stuff. I was like, I'm not just a hobbyist. This is not me. I need to be charging people for the skills that I have and the expertise that I have. So I did loads of work on identifying my ideal client. I rebranded my business with a new name that I didn't feel embarrassed about, because the previous name that I had, I was really embarrassed with and felt really uncomfortable saying what my business name was if I went to like a networking event or anything. So totally rebranding my business. I changed my ideal client. I was so niche. So my niche was that I targeted brides to be that were getting married in the Mediterranean or that were inspired by the Mediterranean for their UK weddings. So all of my messaging was around my love for the Mediterranean, like the light colours, all the botanical details, olive trees. My business name was called White Olive Design Studio, like all really inspired by the Mediterranean. Like I love Greece. It's just one of my favorite places in the whole world. So all of my messaging was speaking to these brides, and I would get people say to me, "Oh my God, but you're going to miss out on so much work, aren't you? Like, if you niche down that much, you're going to miss out on all these people that are getting married in this place, in this place. And what about all the UK weddings? Like, if you're only targeting people getting married in the Mediterranean, that's not going to give you enough work in." But actually, by doing that, it meant that those that were getting married in the Mediterranean, or that shared my love for the Mediterranean, or whose wedding was inspired by the Mediterranean, I was speaking their love language. Like as soon as they came across me online, they were hooked, because not one other wedding stationery designer was talking to them. Like all of my messaging was speaking to that person. So it just meant when they came across me, it was an absolute no-brainer to invest in working with me. And it meant that I more than tripled my prices. I was booking my dream clients. Within a week, I had a dream client booking. Like, this is the power of being so crystal clear with your messaging and all of those visuals and everything that you're doing, speaking to the right people and having that strategy in place. This is what I really help my clients with now, because I have done it myself. I've seen the power of going from having a business that is just causing you to take on more and more and more and not have any sort of clear process or strategy, and not even having the right pricing or the offers in place, and just trying to throw work out there and offer all these different things just to make some money, when actually you can very quickly hit burnout. To then have a business that actually gave me the freedom. So I had gone from taking on, I don't know how many clients, and they would be so many different like low budget clients, that I would have an order for place settings, then I would have an order for save the dates, then I would have an order for invitations, to when I rebranded, I would have people booking me for their entire thing. They would book me from the save the dates right the way through as one bespoke package. And these brides were spending like 5,000 to 6,000 pounds on their wedding stationery, whereas previously my clients had had like £100 to £300 budgets. Like, this was the extreme transformation in my business in a really short space of time. And this just goes to show the importance of getting your brand message and building that personal brand and getting that right for your business, that the power that that has. Um, and because of that, it meant that I then went on to helping other people do exactly the same thing. So I did the wedding stationery for a few years. I was multi-award winning in my business. Like, I was known in my industry. Like, people knew my business name before they knew who I was. And it just got to a point where I loved what I was doing, but I knew I wanted more. I'd got to a point in my business where I was like, I can actually help other people. And it was really empowering to be able to support other people in their journey as a business owner. And I saw so many women going through the same experience as me, where they had a really good job, a very well paid job before they had children. And because they had made that decision to have a child, they then lost that income and lost their identity as well. So when you actually, like, anybody that's listening that has had a child will know this, you completely change as a person, mentally and physically. Like, it completely transforms you as a person. So your whole identity has to change as well. You lose who you were pre-children and like that job, that security blanket that you had, to then having maternity leave pay and then having that cut if you've decided to stay on for longer for your maternity leave, or worse, like myself, where you don't have the option to then go back and you're forced into having to make money some other way. Um, it's a huge transformation. So to be able to empower other women that have gone through that or are currently going through that into building a personal brand that allows them to build their own business and make their own sort of success in their life, I found really empowering. So I started doing mentoring sessions for people. A lot of them were starting out in their own wedding stationery business or in the wedding industry. And then I started to work with other people outside of the wedding industry. And I just thought, oh my God, like I have so much knowledge in my head that to me is just, I don't even think about it as knowledge because it's just been so ingrained into what it is that I do on a daily basis that I didn't see the power that I can have on other people. So when I started having these sessions with women and seeing them coming away thinking, oh my God, like this has just clicked and I don't understand why I wasn't doing it before. Like everything you've said just makes sense. Like, oh my God, Jackie, what did I do before you? Like these were the kinds of things women were saying. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do more of this because this is incredible. Like helping people not only change their business, but their life, like literally increasing how much money they were making, giving them more freedom, that time to be able to spend with their children without constantly saying, yep, yep, in a minute. Okay, I just need to do this for work. And then, okay, in a minute. Because I was doing that myself all the time. And it's just horrible. That mum guilt that you get is horrible. Um, so I launched Bailey and Rue. I can't even remember what year it was now, but I launched Bailey and Rue a few years later, where I was helping people to build a strong brand. So I initially worked just doing the photography and the branding, and then I added on websites. And then I started to grow my team. So I now have external photographers and designers that I work with all over the world to allow me to work with clients across the globe to build a personal brand. So I actually sold my wedding stationery business to fully focus on Bailey and Rue to help other women to build a strong magnetic personal brand. And that is where I am today. And this is why I really wanted to build my own podcast to be able to help my audience in so many ways to actually not just scale the visuals of their brand, because building a brand is so much more than those visuals. It's about becoming magnetic and finding your own identity, like really stepping into that next level you and who you want to become. So many people get stuck with branding their business, but not themselves, and not thinking about who they are. Because when you're building a brand, it's about standing out as you, because you are the person that your clients are investing and working with. That your clients are paying you. They're paying you for your knowledge or your skill or the service that you offer. Like whatever it is that you do, your clients are buying from you. So to be able to get to know that person behind the brand is so powerful. And this is what makes a magnetic brand. So that's why I have launched Becoming a Powerhouse Brand, because I believe that every single woman listening can be or should be a powerhouse brand. There is no reason, there is absolutely nothing stopping you from becoming an absolute powerhouse in your zone of genius. Like everybody has things to be able to help others, to empower others with their life or their business, like whatever it is. And I honestly think that women need to give themselves a lot more credit for the power that they have on other women, and there are always more things waiting for us. Like if you're staying in the same zone year after year, you're just not going to grow. Like I am forever now stepping out of my comfort zone. Like launching a podcast is a scary thing for me. So to be able to be sitting here talking now, like is just crazy, really. And I'm just thinking, what am I going to be doing in 12 months from now? Like I am always pushing my clients to step out of their comfort zone, because pushing through those barriers that you've currently set for yourself, or those comfort zones, is where that next level success comes from. So that's what this podcast is all going to be about. I've got some incredible guests lined up already for the start of my podcast to help you to build a personal brand and become a magnet. So it's not just about the visuals, it's about the mindset, it's about your personal identity, it's about manifesting that future self that you have. It's about so many different things and having that confidence there to be able to step into your next level. So I cannot wait for the next few episodes to be able to help you to start building that magnetic powerhouse brand for your business. Thank you so much for your time listening to this first episode, and I cannot wait to get started with the second one. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of building your own personal brand, head over to my website, baileyandrue.com, where you can grab my free Brand Brilliance Blueprint today. It's your roadmap to success in the world of branding. And hey, let's stay connected beyond the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at baileyandrue for daily inspiration, behind the scenes insights, and exclusive content to fuel your brand journey. See you there.